Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. Just to set the context, the da'wah that you're going to watch is taking place in a city called Tijuana, Mexico. Tijuana has the highest murder rate in the world. Very active cartel presence. The murder rate in Tijuana, a city in northern Mexico, is higher than Chicago, than Detroit, than New York, than LA, than London, than any war-torn country. It has the highest murder rate in the world, between 2,000 and 3,000 murders a year, just in this one city. You can look up statistics. Consistently, this has been the highest murder rate in the world. Not only is the murder rate very high, there are neighborhoods where people are under a curfew, not from the government, but from the cartel. There are neighborhoods where you are unable to move around because of the activity of the cartel. But alhamdulillah, the OMF team from San Diego went and we conducted the da'wah there, and you will see the video. And this is because we cannot be afraid. We have to go to where the da'wah is needed. And all those keyboard warriors sitting in their mom's basement, watching videos, looking for faults, you should be ashamed of yourself. Instead of sitting there just trying to backbite and harm, you should get out there on the streets and save people from entering the hellfire by giving them da'wah towards tawheed, towards the oneness of Allah, towards recognizing their creator.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. We're here in Tijuana, Mexico, the murder capital of the world. Alhamdulillah, we're out here giving da'wah. But I want you to kind of understand Mexico and the cartels and how it works. Me and Brother Richard are out here. MashaAllah, Richard's been giving da'wah in Mexico a lot. He's going to tell you a little bit about a saint that the cartel prays to.
Assalamualaikum wa barakatuh, my beloved brothers in Islam. So like here in Mexico, typically the cartel would normally pray to La Santa Muerte, which is like the angel of death. And they would actually not really pray to Shaitan, but they will always ask God, for permission to actually pray or ask permission to the other saints. It kind of makes no sense, but like my grandma back in the day, she used to have a St. Jude's, a saint, and it had like a little thing up here where you would put a candle. If you look at St. Jude's, the tattoos or the pictures, you'll see like a little flame on top.
Candle on top,
Yeah, so she will put a candle right there. So she will go to the church and she'll, ask God or whatever, then she'll ask permission to God, to ask for a miracle out of the saint. So while she's waiting for the saint to make the miracle, she'll put the candle right here on top of his head. But there's a saying in Mexico, like, hey, what are you doing? So, I'm going to go burn the feet of St. Jude. Le voy a ir a quemar las patas a San Judas. That means when you're like really mad and you're going back to the church because that saint did not come through with the miracle.
So you're going to burn his feet, huh?
Yeah, so what happened is that my grandma used to grab the saint. It was like a little statue and it had a little flat area right here and a flat area right here. So she'd say, you know what, I'm going to burn this St. Jude's feet. So what you would do is that you grab St. Jude's, you put him on his head, and then you burn the candle on his feet.
Look at how misguidance works. I mean, imagine you're talking about a saint and you're praying to him, and if he doesn't come through, you're burning his feet.
Yeah. I mean, it came up because like we were talking about like the whole beard, how a lot of the Mexican Catholics and people right here have long beards, and most of the reason why they have beard is because like they'll go to the church and they'll make what is called a manda, like a promise to God. He'll ask God for something. It's more like a way of fasting. You give something up, but one of the things is that you let your beard grow, including the mustache. You don't touch it, nothing. So once God or whatever saint or idol that they're asking for, once that idol comes through with the miracle, they go back to the church, they speak to the padre, and, padre forgave me, they confess, and pay a lot of moolah, a lot of money. Yeah, and you'll say, Saint so-and-so did this miracle for me. So then he goes, he shaves his beard, and they turn it in. That's how they turn in their fast. So that's, how that conversation came up, how their cartels are so
I'll tell you this about Richard, mashallah. He's all about that da'wah. He was just telling me earlier, about what happened to his neighbor. You want to tell him about that?
In Ensenada?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, yeah, well. Been looking for like a little spot for my dad, a little ranch to keep my dad in, and found this property. It was just too good to be true. It was pretty cheap. But the thing is that it takes up the high ground. And if you're in battle, in war, or you're against somebody or in some kind of fight with somebody, having the high ground is always a good point. So the ranch that we have, it's up top. And in the low ground, you'll see, which is like the National Guard or the Mexican Marina, the military, they're down there. But then that's like the cartel. The cartel stays there and they spot. When the National Guard comes out of their bunker or their post, right away they start making calls. You know, and they're like right here, like 25 yards from the property line, and they actually cut through the property line. You know, but you know, even them, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, being Muslim, not because.
Here, mashallah, giving da'wah to the cartel, giving da'wah to the military, giving da'wah to the police, in a city that had 2,000 to 2,800 murders every year. So this is what we're trying to say. You sitting in your cities, making excuses for not doing da'wah, what's your excuse? Inshallah, we make dua, even though the cartel murdered his neighbor. They hung the body, they burnt the cars. But we're not backing out from that. We're still giving da'wah, still moving forward. So we want everybody to take a lesson that wherever you may be, you need to go out there and do your da'wah. Don't let anything distract you. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Again, this is to understand. This brother, his neighbor was just murdered very recently, maybe a week before this event. And he was hung outside by the cartel while his car was set on fire. And instead of becoming afraid, he went and gave them da'wah to the cartel, to the police, to the military, to call them towards Allah. Allahu Akbar.